Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August reading wrap up. So all the books I read in August. August was like a pretty good month for me. Only like one or two misses, but I generally enjoyed everything I read. So I'm going to be going in order of like the books in the order in which I read them basically. So the first book I read is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So basically in this world, those with magic are treated as infected and they're basically killed. And our main character, female main character, Elspeth, has a monster basically living in her head. And so she basically gets caught up in some political intrigue, basically. They're trying to overthrow a king, something like that. Anyway, she gets caught up in this, and yeah, and there's also a romance, and there's that. Unfortunately with this one, I wanted to love it more than I did. It was really atmospheric. It was really, it's like, it was not, I wouldn't go as far as calling it spooky, but it's just like this, there's mist everywhere. It's very insular world, because we're only focusing on this particular town. So in case that might, like, I don't know if you don't like that type of thing, the world building isn't really like very expansive. It's very wide, yes. But I don't know. I don't think the romance really worked for me. I don't know. I didn't really feel the chemistry. I didn't also really like the main characters. I don't know. I really thought I would love this more than I did, but then I did not. However, I like the nightmare, the monster in her head as a character, and what happened in the last third. I'm invested enough to continue the series, even though I didn't really love it as a whole. So I probably give it like maybe like a 6, 7 out of 10, maybe 3.5, 3.75 stars. And I really liked it. I feel like it was well written. I really liked the atmosphere and all that, but I don't know, I just didn't really feel anything for the characters until like the last third. And most of the side characters I think just fell a little flat for me. Anyway, so yeah, although I did really like the world building and the magic system, I really liked the fact that the magic had consequences. It's a card based magic system, so I thought that was really cool. And yeah, I want to move on to the sequel. I don't know when. It's not really a priority like read for me, but give it a shot. Feel it fits the fall, kind of not like spooky, but kind of just like that atmospheric read. So still give it a chance. The romance didn't really work for me, but it might work for you. I think a lot of people really like this, so I think you should give it a shot. Again, also the world building is like super expansive. It's focused on this one city, so I don't know. We don't know if there's much outside that, so just a heads up. Yeah. So the next book I read is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. So this is basically a fairy tale retelling of the Six Swans, which is a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. So you basically like already know like the major plot. The girl, she has to save her six brothers. She sews shirts to turn them back into to turn them human. To turn them human, yes. First of all, I really, really love this book. I stayed up till like what 6 a.m. trying to finish this. And I think the writing is beautiful. I think that the characters are very well developed. It does start a little slow, but I think she does that to really develop the relationships between the characters. And so like when we see Sorcha, like say the main character's name is Sorcha, so when we see her trying to save her brothers, it makes sense why she would suffer so much. Also, this author, she puts the female main character through so much, so very much, like to the point where I was just like, do you actually hate this character? But it was a very emotional read. I think I cried at the end, although me crying is not like anything special, by the way. I just like cry a lot. So um yeah, and I think so basically what she does is that the story is written in the format where the female main character is telling us what has happened. So I think that actually really works because, as I said, it has a slow start, but then I feel like the fact that she does that, so she has like this little tidbit like, oh, if only I had known this, and I think that that really helped to keep my interest. So yeah, I really liked it. Also, trigger warning for sexual assault, and it's like described on page, so just think that you should do that. Yeah, it was just a very heartbreaking but beautiful story. And yeah, also I love the fact that she steeps the world in like Irish like mythology and folklore. It just really adds to the story. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I This is definitely like 9 out of 10 or 10 on. I don't have any reason to not give it. You should read it. It was so good. Just, I guess the only reason why I would say you should not read it is if you don't like fairy tale retellings, I guess, and it's a bit slow, so just watch out for that. So The next book I read was Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. I'm just going to read the synopsis to you because I really suck at summarizing. So basically, we have Annie and Lee who were children when the brutal revolution changed their world and gave everybody a chance to test to become dragon riders because only the elite could be dragon riders. Now they are both rising stars in this regime, despite the fact that their backgrounds couldn't be more different. So Annie comes from a lowborn family who was executed by Dragonfire, and Lee's aristocratic family was murdered by the revolutionaries. So, growing up in the same orphanage, they forged a friendship, and 7 years of training have made them rivals for the top position in the dragon riding fleet. But basically, everything changes when they are all survivors from the old regime. So that's basically Lee's family or people that Lee know, and they are bent on reclaiming the city and going back to the old system. So basically, with one of their rising, Lee has to choose whether he's going to, side with his family or his new friends that he's made, and Annie has to decide whether she'll protect the boy that she loves or step up to be the champion that her city needs. So yes, Fireboy. I loved Fireboy so much. It was so well written. I really loved the characters. I also really particularly enjoyed the side characters as well. Um, I love Annie and Lee. Maybe I like Lee a little bit, but just a little bit more. I really like that their character arcs and their character development. I feel like they were so easy to root for. I liked the complexity of their relationship because they love each other, but then also, as I said, Annie's family was killed by Dragonfire. He was from the ruling elite, so I really like that. But they grew up with the orphanage, so they obviously have a lot of love for each other. I think the world building, I really like the dynamic between the dragon riders and their dragons. Yeah, so basically, because we're following the time after the revolution, so we are now seeing this new republic. We see how it's better than the old regime, but we're still not really sure. We see that it's not yet ideal, so we're dealing with that. I really liked the fact that this book dealt with like propaganda and like censorship and like how like they manipulate. Also, it also had like this hierarchical system, this hierarchy, basically. So I really enjoyed that. I really liked seeing that. And yeah, there was this particular scene that was like it was really, really good. It's really good. If you've ever heard of it, you should definitely go read it. I really liked, yeah, just this was an amazing book. I really loved it. I can't wait to move on. Not now, but I will definitely continue with the rest of this series. The next book I read is Jade City by Fonda Lee, which is the first book in the Greenborn Saga trilogy. So in the Greenborn Saga, we're basically following the Kawo family, which is basically one of the two crime syndicates which control this resource called jade. And jade can only be produced on this island called Kekon, and so that's where the Kowls live. And so basically, we have these two rivaling clans, which the Kowl is one clan. And yeah, so jade is this resource which gives them like heightened abilities and all that, so they can like they're stronger, they're faster, all that. So basically, um the so I said that there are two clans. So basically, there's friction between the two clans, and then eventually comes to violence. And so we basically just follow the cows and how they deal with that. And so we're just dealing with a lot of like politicking, because the crime syndicate is involved in every aspect. So in commerce, in all that. And yes, and also just side note, I also forgot Jade is basically you have to train to be able to use it. So it's not really a major part of it, but it's just something if you like that. Um, I really, really like the complex family dynamics. I really like the characters. I love the scheming between the two clans and how the clans interacted with like the politics and there's a lot of like talking and there's a lot of scheming and a lot of conversations and all that. So just to say like there is action, but it's not like super action packed. And yeah, also I'd say my favorite line when one of the characters says, "Heaven help me, she I'm going to kill them all." I was just like, yes, let's go. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, so yeah, that was something that I really liked. Yeah, there was something that happens that I saw coming. Like I knew this was happening. I was like, I'm not really sure this, but but then I was really upset, and I just think that really goes to show like how good of a writer Fonda Lee is because I saw it coming, but it still made me like deeply upset. So yeah, you should. Jade City. I don't think I've ever seen like a bad review for Jade City, and there's a reason. It's really good, and I can't also wait to continue with the next of the series. So yeah. Next book I read is Elatoe by Darcy Little Badger. So basically, we live in this. This book is set in an alternative America. I don't know why my brain blanked, but an alternative America. So basically, there are vampires, there are Fae, all that. And so Elatoe is basically a Native American, and she can raise the ghosts of dead animals, people, etc. So basically, her brother, no, her cousin Trevor is killed, and so there's basically a murder mystery, and so she has to like try and solve his murder. This was also another one where I really wanted to like it more than I did. I really like the, like we got a lot of Native American like mythology and folklore and the alternative world history where we have vampires, we have fae, all of them together. But I think this book is classified as YA, young adult. I think this kind of reads more middle grade. And I don't know, the dialogue didn't work for me for this one. I don't know, it just felt like it didn't, the conversations, I don't know, it didn't make sense, like the replies, like it didn't feel like a real conversation. And sometimes so it didn't really make sense to me, or I didn't follow that time, so it would take me out of the story and I'll just be like, this is like, I don't know, this conversation is not, it didn't just read. And I feel like it reads more middle grade. And the murder mystery was fine, I wasn't like super invested, but like I really liked like the ending, I guess. And I also really like the fact that like the her parents were like really involved, and like they helped, not like this young 17-year-old just doing everything by herself, but her parents were also involved. So I really like that. It's under 300 pages, if you want a nice standalone, but still give it a try. For me, I don't know, the dialogue just didn't really work for me, but I don't think that might be a problem for you. And again, it also touches on themes of obviously like racism, because she's Native American, displacement, crimes against like Native Americans. And the world building isn't super in depth, it's under 300 pages, so we don't go like super duper deep, but I didn't mind that. I don't know, in case like some people really like extensive world building, so I just like I should just mention that. And yeah, it was enough for me. I was okay with it, but some people might not. So yeah, that's a lot to wait. This is probably like a 6 out of 10 for me, around that. Like for the others like JTT and like um Fireborn, I'm like super like 8, 9 out of 10, like go read this. But for this, I'm just like a bit, there are some things that didn't work for me, but still give it a chance, it might work for you. I really did like the other aspects. I just feel like the dialogue, especially, I don't know, it just really took me out. So yeah, and I wasn't super invested in the murder mystery, as I said before, until like maybe like a quarter into the book. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So basically the next book I read is The Naturals, which is a series by, no, well, not the whole series, the first book and the second book in the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So that's The Naturals and Killer Instinct. And so we're basically following these teenagers who have special skills, because they're called Naturals. So basically they all each have something that they're very good at. For example, our main character Cassie, she's very good at profiling people, and another character is good at reading emotions, but like to a very high degree. And so basically she's recruited to work for the FBI. And yeah, we basically follow her and this team, and they basically like work together and solve cold cases. But it basically develops. This was like a fun, easy read. I was kind of upset when I was reading. This was like, I feel like this type of book you read when you're like in a reading slump. There were like, your standard cliches. The characters are smirking. I don't know, that just kind of annoys me. And I'm just like, ugh. And you had your standard YA cliches, you had your love triangle. But it was a really fun time. And there's a need to kind of suspend your disbelief like quite a bit. Like even I was reading one of the characters who's like a lie detector. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then I was just like, so let me explain. One character is very good at reading like emotions, like what you're feeling, and then this character is a lie detector. But wouldn't she use like your emotions, I don't know, to be able to tell if you're lying? I just didn't understand why she was there. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not getting it, but you definitely have to suspend your disbelief like quite a bit. But it's a really fun series. It's under 300 pages. I found the mystery really interesting. I didn't guess, yeah, definitely subverted my expectations. And she also does that in the second book. I prefer the second book like miles better. I really feel like she develops the side characters a bit more, because in the first book they just feel like kind of like standard cliches somewhat. And but I really feel that the side characters are developed a lot more in book two. Although again, the love triangle, if you don't like love triangles, like this one, the love triangle, was super obvious to me. It just, I was like, we obviously knew who she was going to pick for me anyway. So if you don't like love triangles, I guess, but it's not too. I don't think it tracks too much from the plot, so I guess you can still give it a chance. I really like the way that she like sets up the mysteries, and she's always like subverting my expectations. Like I'll be like one way, and she's like, nope. And I really think that book two is like a step up from book one. I really preferred it, and I really like because so you know how I said that you need to suspend your disbelief. I think in book two she kind of gives like an explanation for like why the naturals are so good at what they are. I mean, it's not like the perfect like, but I feel like at least there's an explanation, and so it makes a bit more sense, and it's easier to like digest and be like, okay, fine, I guess I'll just move on with it. Um, yeah, so it's really good for getting out of a slump. And yeah, so that's the naturals. I really enjoyed it, and I think if you're in a slump and just want something to read, something short, again, they're all under like 300 pages, so just like you can read that. Second, the other book I read is If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang. I'll just put it up there. This made me so happy. Like if I was doing the media tag, yes, media tag, this would be the book. This book, well, obviously. Anyway, point is this book made me really happy. It was so sweet. I just like smiled throughout. This is like for me the perfect execution of a rivals to lover trope. But I was definitely more than that. I really loved the dynamic between Alice and her parents. I really loved that as well. I really liked Alice's character growth. She's our female main character. I really liked her character growth and how she like, yes, character growth, character development, all that. It really deals with like academic validation, the pressure that we put on ourselves, to make people proud, and how we can lose sight of what really matters when you're so focused on like school. It also deals with like classism because she goes to like a private school. I'm going to give a synopsis after, but these are just my thoughts. So yeah, and how she sacrifices so much, and if it's like really worth it at the end. I really loved it. And Henry and Alice. So basically, this, if you can see, the son follows Alice, Alice's son. Yeah, so basically she goes to like this private international boarding school in Beijing, and yeah, she's there on a scholarship, but then things are tough with her parents, and so she basically develops she can just like randomly go invisible, and then basically because her parents are in trouble and they cannot really like afford to continue to send her to school, but she wants to continue, so she basically decides to use this invisibility to make money, and then she basically teams up with her rival, who's Henry Lee, and they basically try to use this to her advantage and to make money. But yeah, for her school. Anyway, I just really, really love this book. This book was everything. Everything. This is a book like I want to get the hardcover because I want to have it. So yes. The next book I read is oops, oh my god. The next book I read is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. How do I even summarize this one? I just think people always say you should go into this blind, and I think I agree. But okay, so basically we have this character Piranesi, and he lives in this house, basically, and he's basically discovering the secrets of this house, and I'm just going to say nothing more than that. This was a really unique read. It's not weird, like it's a good weird, I think, for me. But I really love Piranesi as a character. He's so kind and good. He's like naive. He believes in the goodness of everything. I don't know, it's just an easy character to root for. He sees goodness in everything, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. This is, as I said, really hard to explain. But there's basically a mystery, and that really kept me turning the page because I was really curious, like, what is this house Piranesi in? Why is he here? How did he get here? I think it does that. I also like the resolution, how things came together. Piranesi is such an easy character to read for. So yeah, definitely read this. I also like Susanna Clark's writing. I definitely want to read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell now. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. This is like an 8, 9. I don't really know how to rate this book, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I think you should too. And I definitely think that this lives up to the hype. So yes. The next book I read is this one, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katu. Again, if I'm pronouncing this name wrong, please forgive me. This is simply a masterpiece. This made me cry so much, so hard. I cried for like 70% of this book. Like I was just like just constantly crying. I think I even took like a picture of me like crying. I was like, this book. Ugh. I think I was avoiding this book because it's definitely marketed as being something that was like heartbreaking. So I was kind of afraid I would read it. I'm not really feeling any emotions, but was I wrong? I really like how even though this is such a heartbreaking book, but there's such a message of hope in this story. I love how she explored like the characters' traumas. So basically, we have Salama, who is basically this is takes place during the Syrian Revolution. So we have basically have Salama, who's like living during this like very tenuous time, and basically she has to work in the hospital to help people, and basically she's kind of like just shut down. She's just like going through the motions, going through each day, but then as she's trying to decide whether or not she should leave, and but then she meets this boy, and then basically it goes up from there. It's more than that. It's definitely not just like there is such a beautiful love story as well, but I just really love how she explored their traumas and how people like survive and how trauma like affects different people. And she's again so easy to root for. She and Keenan just chef's kiss, and I was definitely very stressed while I was reading this, and I just wanted her and Keenan to be happy. And yeah, it's such a heartbreaking book. There was like a twist, and I was just like, excuse you, what do you mean? It's a really beautiful book, and this is highly like, and it deserves all the love in the world, and you should read it. It was a really beautiful story. So yeah, and definitely like, I feel like stories like this, just open your eyes to like the different situations people are going through around, and just like gives you such empathy. But again, I just really love the fact that such a beautiful message of hope. So yes, I definitely recommend this. Like 10 out of 10. Like you should read this. Then the next book I read is Lonely Castle in the Mirror. This is the first no, this is not the first translated book I've read, but this is the first Japanese fiction book I have read. Again, another one I read in one sitting. This month was back to back bangers. This book was just this book I feel really captures the idea of like found family. Like this is just the perfect found family trope, and just like really the power of friendship. As like cliche as that sounds, but this is just so heartwarming, and it really touched on the struggles and like mental the mental health struggles in like adolescence. This book deals with like trigger warnings like bullying and a lot of like, yeah, not great topics, but like this especially bullying. But these characters are so easy to root for. You just love them, and you see their relationship develop. You see their relationships develop, and yeah. I also so I'm 50-50 on the end. In theory, I like the way everything came together and tied together. The fantastical elements are, again, this is a magical realism book. So the ending is just you're not really going to get like an explanation for it or how things happen. Just like accept it. Magical realism. Just accept it. Um, Although I do wish, even though I say I really like the ending, I wish there were like three characters where I really wish that we saw what happened to them after certain events. I just wish like I gotten more from those characters, but still. So basically we have these seven young people who wake up and their bedroom mirrors are shining, and they basically are pulled into this like wondrous castle, and they're basically told that they have to find a particular key, and if they find this key their wishes will be granted. But basically they can only go between 9 and 5 p.m. And yes, so basically, and these seven people all have something in common. Anyway, so yeah, this was a really, really, really heartwarming and touching read. And yeah, the highlight this book is really about like the power of friendship, and it was so good. So yeah, I also definitely cried, teared up a little bit at this one at the end. But yeah, I really love this book, and I loved how everything came together. And yeah, just magical realism book. Don't think about how the fantastical elements work. Just accept it. So yeah. Um, but I definitely recommend this. I think this is well loved and for good reasons. So you should read it. That's basically all I read this month. I hope that you had a good reading month, and also if there's anything here, I hope you check it out. Anything that pictures, I hope you check it out, and I hope that you love it. So thank you. See you next time. Bye.